after losing to New England and then losing to Atlanta and Michael Penix kind of shredding them, they're just not that good defensively. And, Sean McDermott, let's be honest, Josh Allen has not let this franchise down in the playoffs. Sean McDermott's defense has let them down in the playoffs. So that's a burden he's got to bear. Robert Mays, a podcaster, sports writer from The Athletic, stopped by this week and talked about just this defense and why it's not working now.
When Joe Brady took over, they developed this really downhill run game that they could rely on. And now they have this flexibility where if we need to throw the ball 40 times, we can. If we need to run the ball 40 times, we can. That evolution has not happened on defense. All they're doing now is they're tinkering within the same world in which they've always existed. And I think that's where you're seeing some of the limitations. And ultimately, that does fall on the coach. The Bills' offense figured that out. We're going to be the dominant. We're going to be the enforcers now. The Bills' defense has never gotten there, and I think you're seeing how that's holding them back right now.
Yeah, I mean, they struggled with the Jets. They struggled with the Saints. They struggled with the Dolphins. They've struggled with the 1-5 Ravens. Their top 5 draft picks were all defense. Now, one of them is yet to play as a corner, Hairston, but they acquired Joey Bosa. They paid guys in the offseason, defensive players. So they drafted it, they acquired it, they paid it. It's still bad. They're allowing 5.8 yards per rush. And that is the worst since the 1934 Cincinnati Reds, and I swear they're a baseball franchise. So it's bad. Like apparently Joe Nuxall wasn't a good tackler or something. It's just bad. And Nick Wright brought a very interesting point up about the McDermott-Josh Allen partnership.
Let's see.
Every single coach-quarterback combo that has ever won at least one Super Bowl together won their first Super Bowl together within 5 years of being together. For McDermott and Allen, and by the way, Lamar and Harbaugh, this is year 8. No one else has taken this long to have it happen, and then it actually happened. So history tells us for either of those teams to get over the hump, they probably will need to at some point make a change.
So, I mean, just think about that. Is what Nick is saying, and it's factually true. If you're really an elite coach in those first 4 or 5 years, go back to Shula Marino, those are the Super Bowl years, because then they get older, they get beat up, they get expensive, you have limitations. In modern football, you got to make hay early. I mean, McVay got Goff to a Super Bowl early, and then he won it with Stafford. But they were winning a lot of games with Goff and McVay, and they got to a Super Bowl. So if you can't get to a Super Bowl, you can say, well, it's like Phil Mickelson. We know he wasn't Tiger. He could still win majors when Tiger was in his prime. He would have won more without Tiger, but he could still Sunday on the leaderboard finish on top.
Okay. So here's the thing. Having this baseline of just getting to the Super Bowl, we're saying, well, McVay was able to get to Super Bowls with Goff, and it's like, well, in a way, the Buffalo Bills are doing the same thing because they then play the Chiefs, right? Like they're playing the team that is then ultimately winning the Super Bowl or whatever. But that gets popped when you see the Eagles dominate the Kansas City Chiefs. When you see the Bengals beat the Kansas City Chiefs. When you lose to the Bengals and then the Bengals then beat the Chiefs and get to the Super Bowl. Right? So like it's not as cut and dry. There's some truth to it and there's some lack of nuance as well. There's just multiple things here with Sean McDermott and this Buffalo Bills team, both offensively and defensively. Right, they're obviously dealing with defensive injuries, and they've continued to do so now, which then also becomes a problem of building a team that has greater depth and being more resilient, being a coach that can be more resilient when dealing with injuries, something Sean McDermott has failed to be able to do. Whereas we've seen Spags be able to navigate defensive injuries. On the obviously offensive side of the ball, we've seen Andy Reid, McVay, who else can I use as an example? We'll just stick there. You know, they've been able to navigate injuries and still be able to find ways. Again, I'm not saying that when you're an injured roster that you can consistently just start winning Super Bowls or win a million playoff games, but you see a lot higher levels of competency that you don't see with Sean McDermott. And yes, the defenses have absolutely, obviously, positively, I've done so many videos on it, and so I'm not going to rehash it. But yes, the defenses have failed fundamentally in the playoffs. Josh Allen has not failed the Buffalo Bills. He just not. He's not the problem. But then even offensively, there are still problems here. And I'm going to show you the graphic that I made in the video yesterday. This is not, I just have this graphic left over because I made it. This is not a comparison between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. This is just a reference point. This is not meant to bring down Mahomes. I wish it didn't involve Mahomes at all, but it just does, because it just paints the clearer picture. But the Bills so rarely do things to make life easier for Josh Allen, either defensively or offensively. And again, this has nothing truly to do with Patrick Mahomes in terms of downplaying or anything like that. It's not. It just paints a very concrete picture, okay? When we look at the contested target rate for the top 3 receivers for his targets for Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, it's over double the rate. Over double, 23% of the time, the target is contested for Josh Allen's targets, for his top 3 receivers. For Patrick Mahomes, it's only 10%. 10%. That's massive. That is a night and day difference. A night and day difference. Josh Allen throws the ball 92 times to his top 3 receivers, 21 times. 21 times. They are going to be contested. For Patrick Mahomes, he throws the ball 100 times. 10. Only 10. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. Coleman alone has essentially has the same number of contested targets as Mahomes' top 3 receivers combined. That is a problem. That is absolutely, positively a problem. And then yards after catch. Again, people downplay a Hollywood Brown, a Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju has 154 yards after catch. 154. Hollywood Brown, 174. Old man Travis Kelce, 104. 432 yards after catch from his top 3 receivers. 268 for Josh Allen. So Josh Allen is needing to make more difficult throws, throwing more contested passes, and gets less yards after catch. That's a problem. And again, do not get lost in the whole Mahomes versus Josh Allen comparison. I beg you in the comment section, don't get hung up on that. It's just highlighting how things are made a lot more difficult for Josh Allen. So you have your defense that can't get the job done. You have your offense that can't support your quarterback in the best possible way. So then what are you doing then? Then what are you actually doing? What are you doing as a franchise? That's what I want to know. That becomes a massive problem. And when we look at all the teams that have won over these years, whether it's the Eagles, whether it's obviously the Chiefs, whether it's the Rams, whether it's just other teams that have made the Super Bowl and have contended well, like the 49ers and whatnot, you can see where the teams, the coaching staff, the GMs, franchise, however we want to define it, where they made things easier, specifically for the quarterback. You can point where Shanahan made things easier for Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo. We can point where the Eagles made things easier for Jalen Hurts. They made things easier for Saquon Barkley. Whatever it is. Made things easier. The coaching, the roster construction, etc., etc. Where do we really consistently see that for the Buffalo Bills? Where? And again, if you're looking at the Buffalo Bills right now, I really do think it makes the most sense to point to the Philadelphia Eagles and be like, the Philadelphia Eagles were able to win and build a roster, build a team, put together a team in the exact same way that the Buffalo Bills could. And yet they both played the same team. They both played the Kansas City Chiefs. And it was a night and day difference. Night and day difference. And I know in Buffalo Bills fans, without a shadow of a doubt, obviously believe that Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I know they know that. I believe it. I talk about it all the time. And yet Jalen Hurts became the Super Bowl MVP. Jalen Hurts played better against the Kansas City Chiefs than Josh Allen did. That is a problem. If you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you're saying, how? Why does that happen? Why in both Super Bowls has the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts been able to put up a better product, a better offense, a better production than we are? Why is it that in all these years that we've been playing the Chiefs, why is that in the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Eagles defense, with a bunch of rookies, with a bunch of young guys, and a bunch of old guys too. I mean, a bunch of young guys and a bunch of old guys who are about to retire. It was like kind of like few and far between. And a player that people were like, I don't know, should he be on special teams? Should he not even be in the NFL anymore? And like a bunch of who's. Were they able to have Patrick Mahomes have arguably his worst game of his entire career? Why were they able to do that? With old man Vic Fangio too, in his first year as the coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. You got to really wrestle with that question. You really do. You got to really wrestle with that. And ask yourself, why can't we do something even close to that? Why, when we play the Kansas City Chiefs, can we ever make life miserable for Patrick Mahomes? Why? Why is it always seemingly a walk in the park? Why is there just endless moments when you're like, how is so-and-so so wide open? How did so-and-so catch a 5-yard pass and then rip off a 35-yard run after? How are we giving up these walk-in touchdowns? Why is Patrick Mahomes not running for his life? Why does Josh Allen, why does every throw have to feel so difficult? Just even that most recent AFC Championship game. I mean, every throw that he had to make was so difficult. So difficult. Why is it in these gotta-have-it moments, 3rd and short, 4th and short, it's just, please, Josh Allen, please try your best. But then when you go up against Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid dials up a beautiful play where you're like, oh, all right, that's a first down. That's the game over. Why? Why were the Eagles able to pile on an avalanche against the same exact team? The Kansas City Chiefs had a bad O-line. Why was it that the Philadelphia Eagles were able to just erupt, and the Buffalo Bills had nothing? There was like no sense of it at all. Those are questions that you have to wrestle with. Those are questions that you have to answer and you have to figure out. You just do. Yeah. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one, but I won't get when franchises just keep doing the same thing again and again and again. I really don't. There's been plenty of moves that the Bills could have done, and they didn't. They could have been aggressive. They could have taken big swings, but they didn't. They haven't. And it's like, why not? Why not? Whether coaching, from a roster construction, why not? But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Buffalo Bills? Do you think they'll be able to bounce back? Colin left them off his herd hierarchy. He doesn't even have them as a top 10 team. Doesn't even have them as a top 10 team. He's got the Steelers in there. He's got, I forget who else, but a couple of other seemingly random teams. And the Bills aren't even there. But let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.